Well, good afternoon. Good afternoon, everyone. Or I say good morning for some of you who are elsewhere in the world, and good evening if you are in that part of the world. But good afternoon here in Alberta and Edmonton area. And welcome to another episode of Conversations with Dune and Friends. My name is Dune Nguyen. I'm your host today, and we're going to have a wonderful guest joining us today. Mr. Jarrett Sowan is going to join us, and I'll bring Jarrett on stage in just a moment here, but let me just do a quick introduction. But first of all, can our viewers tell us if you can hear me okay? Because this show is a little more interesting if you can hear us. So please confirm. I see some of you are already joining here. So if you can hear me, give me a sign, say something in the comment. Thank you so much. So Mr. Jarrett Sowan is an award-winning, multi-talented instrumentalist who has really a powerful voice. It is coupled with a sense of humor, and that will really entertain and delight all audiences. His soulful tone brings to mind the old blues and gospel areas of yesteryear, while his music has an edgy, raw groove that sits in the pocket. Now, if you're a bass player, if you're a dancer, you know what that means. You may want to tap your toe and bop your head or just dance the night away. No matter what age you are or what style of music you enjoy, you will find and appreciate and enjoy the entertainment that he provides. Jarrett is an accomplished pianist, guitar player, bass player, and drummer. He combines his experience and versatility to give you an exceptional evening of entertainment and music. Now, he being modest when I read a bio like that, this is, I would say, a legend. A legend in the Edmonton scene, a legend in the international scene, I must say, and very well known, respected, and loved. So with that introduction, I'd like you to join me in welcoming Mr. Jarrett Sowan. Well, hello, Jarrett. How are you today, my friend?
I'm doing good. How are you doing?
I'm good. Thank you so much. And still waiting for our viewers to kind of confirm that they can hear us okay. I did check on my iPad just before kind of getting on with the voice there. Did a tap.
Yeah.
But yeah, so tell us, maybe give us a bit of a backstory beyond the introduction that I've provided our audience there, Jarrett. Tell
Well,
us a
first of
story.
all, that was quite the introduction. Good Lord. Thank you so much for that.
Mhm.
Yeah, I grew up playing music since I started piano lessons when I was 3 years old. Did drum lessons and picked up the bass and guitar on the way, kind of just by ear. And yeah, I was raised in the church, so I was doing church music when I was just a baby boy, and that's kind of how I got my chop, so to speak, and performed in the church. And
Yeah. Now, Jared,
unfortunately,
your voice is a little bit low in the level that I'm registering here. So if there's a way to
oh,
maybe
okay,
come a little closer or something, or move the mic closer if you, it's probably on your computer. Okay.
yeah, unfortunately, I didn't have
That's okay.
time to set up my whole sound system.
Yeah. You can use your outside voice. You can,
Yeah,
you have such a big voice, so you can crank that up if you like. But yeah, I
yeah,
just want to make sure that our audience can hear you properly.
yeah. I'll move in a little closer here too.
Perfect. Thank you, sir.
No worries. So yeah, I grew up in the church and playing church music. And mom and dad were preachers, and so that's where I got my chops from anyway.
Hmm.
And yeah, it was a good experience, and I'm grateful for. I don't remember, but mom tells stories of me reaching up and trying to play the piano and forming chords and stuff when I was 3. And so she figured, well, I better get this kid in some music lessons. And
Yeah.
actually, all of us kids, she put us all through music.
Nice.
And so there were 5 of us. I was adopted out. And then they also adopted 2 other kids, and then they had 2 of their own. And we all went through some form of musical training,
Hmm.
and yeah, so it was it was meant to be,
Yeah.
and I sure appreciate what they did for me.
Yeah.
And yeah, but I was 3 and started, so they put me in piano lessons and started jumping around on the lined carpet, figuring out notes and all that kind of stuff when I was, just a young lad.
Yeah.
And anybody who went through Yamaha when they were young will know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, and I really just, wasn't very interested, you know, and but they kept hounding me, and mom would sit beside me and make sure I practiced, and you know,
Wow.
meanwhile I just wanted to go outside and play.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
But
of course, you later on find out how much of a blessing that was, that you were exposed to
exactly,
music. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And so basically, when I was 15, I started realizing that I could play piano,
Hmm.
and all of a sudden, I had the girls noticing me, and hey, he can play piano. And from there, it took off.
For us guys, the girls have all the power, right? They make us do things,
Yeah,
right? Shall I say?
yeah,
Uh, all right. Well, so thank you for sharing that background, and I know that a family that is not, rich or anything like that, I presume, having the resources to put the kids through music and whatnot is quite a commitment, right? I mean,
absolutely.
it would be easy to just let them kind of do whatever, right? But
Yeah,
your parents had the sort of commitment to invest time and money into that, and yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. So tell us, in terms of, obviously you do a lot of different gigs, and if you're in the Edmonton area, you're no stranger to Jarrett. But tell us about some of the musical kind of journey that you have been taken. But also tell us, maybe now or later, a little bit about some of the health challenges that you have encountered recently, and tell us how you're doing with that as well. We want to learn more about you, not just your music, but
Yeah.
yourself as well.
Well, I started out going to a couple of jams here and there, and I don't remember how. I think I was in my 20s anyway, early 20s, and I started going to some of the jams and stuff, and singing a few of the songs that I knew. And, people started noticing, hey, this kid's pretty good, and what's he
Hmm.
doing? And so they, I got hired for a couple of gigs here and there, and yeah, I just fell in love with it,
Yeah.
and I realized that, man, this is what I want to do, and so I basically just threw myself into it, heart and soul,
Hmm.
and found that it emotionally and spiritually and physically, everything, gave me such a joy and
Yeah.
um, a completion that I'd never felt before.
Mhm. Yeah.
And so just being on stage and feeling the energy go out to the crowd and them enjoying and sending it back to me was something that was new, and it was
Yeah.
amazing. You
Yeah.
know,
And I mean, because you feel it such deeply, that what really sustains all of the hard work and all of the hours and hours and hours it takes to get to the level that you did with your craft there, right?
absolutely. And I mean, I was, growing up, after I hit about 15, 16, I was practicing for hours and hours on the piano, writing and singing
Yeah.
and playing, and, and so, hours and hours, I mean, countless hours,
Yeah.
every day,
Mhm.
every time I'd turn around, I'd be up at 2, 3 in the morning playing piano. That's normal.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
And so yeah, I mean, and I guess that's kind of, I didn't realize what I was doing, but I really was honing my craft
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
learning how to be a better musician and learning how to, understand music better. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah. And I would dare say that throughout that musical journey, you learn some good life lessons as well. And so
oh, absolutely.
maybe early on, I'm going to pop the question here. Can you By the way, Rita McDade here, coming in all the way from BC, British Columbia, beautiful British Columbia.
Yes.
Hello, Rita. She said, good to hear your voices.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
tell us, what would be one lesson that you might have learned from your music kind of journey, the ups and downs of music that really is quite compatible with just regular everyday life kind of thing?
Well, early on, I like when I first started gigging and playing out. I never really took the time to learn songs. I just kind of, you know, went with the old wing it and let's go and have some fun.
Yeah, yeah,
You know, sing it a couple of times, and then I'd be on stage singing it,
yeah.
and that was fine. You know, I mean, I was in the bars, and we'd have fun, but early on, I learned that you want to do the song um, honestly.
Hmm.
You don't always want to wing it. You don't always, So I started actually really paying attention to learning it. And there was there was the one of the times I was actually with a good friend of mine,
Hmm.
um, Mike. Mike Bork. He's actually in Nashville now.
Hmm.
Wicked steel guitar player, but he was playing guitar, or was it bass? I don't remember. It was years and years ago, and it was when I was first playing at the old oil can in Fort McMurray.
Hmm.
And so I had to do a bunch of country songs because it was a country bar, and being in Alberta, you had to do that.
Yeah,
And so I put a bunch of country tunes together, and one of the songs had a typo in it,
yeah,
and it was talking about the wine don't taste the way it used to, and it was so funny because I learned it as the wind don't, and it never occurred to me to actually read the line
hmm,
and make it make sense. Like I was just, and so I copied and pasted it from a lyric site,
yeah,
and
yeah,
it had a typo in it,
yeah,
and so
yeah.
I was singing it, and he was killing himself laughing. He's like, "Jared, what are you doing?" I'm like, "What?" Like I had no idea.
Hmm.
I
Hmm.
was just, this is 20 years ago. I was young, and,
Yeah, yeah,
just had no idea, and so he's just killing himself laughing, and so um, I still laugh about that so much, because it was so funny and such a learning experience for me. It's like, no, you got to learn these songs, and you got
yeah,
to realize what you're singing,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
and country wasn't my forte,
yeah,
and
yeah,
I dare say it's probably still not,
yeah.
but I've gotten better, and but that was one of those funny stories that I was like, okay, my bad,
Yeah. Hey, you mentioned your forte. I'm going to show a viewers a clip that kind of demonstrate the kind of music that you tend to kind of perform. And so there's a YouTube clip here. Maybe introduce this clip before I bring it on sort of the screen here for our viewers. It is the slow moosey as a guest on Mark Amar's Sunday Jam. So maybe tell us a bit about the context there. You play with some very notable players around town. Go ahead and tell us about that clip.
Well, this one we did at Richard's Pub. It was a jam, and I got invited by Mark to be one of the guest hosts, and so I guess guest player, however you want to put it, but yeah. So he asked me to come, and I said absolutely. So I got to play with some very amazing people, Jimmy Gabosh being one of them, and I consider him a mentor as well. He is phenomenal, and Gord Matthews, who also, I consider absolutely amazing and someone who will, definitely, do what he can to help me out. And Joey is a fantastic drummer. He's played with everybody and anybody that is an accomplished player. And just he's a phenomenal drummer, and of course Big Daddy on bass,
You
and
bet.
one of my favorite bass players.
Yeah. Wonderful. Well, I will roll the clip for our viewers here, and we'll just prioritize the video here. And uh, if you
Formed it.
if you could say that again, because I already took you off the stage when you started that
Oh, okay.
sentence. Go ahead.
Yeah, this one is one of my songs that I wrote, and I just threw it together and we did it. I played it with Jimmy quite a bit, so he knew what was
Hmm.
going on, and he kind of it was an absolute blast. And these guys are such pros that
Yeah,
they just know where you're going right away, and it was just such a pleasure to sing and play with these guys. So
you
yeah,
bet. Let's roll the
so
clip
enjoy.
here. Wow, there's enough talent on that stage to fill a stadium there, my friend. Talent and experience, and yeah.
Absolutely.
Tell us
Yeah.
more. How is it
I
feel
mean,
watching?
I love playing with those guys, and you can see the smile on their faces, and it's just such a camaraderie that when you get to play with uh, monsters like that, and that's the only way you can describe them. They're
Yeah,
absolute monsters, each and every one of them.
you bet.
And they've been around the block with so many different players, so many different amazing talents. And when you get guys like that together, it makes it so easy to just enjoy the music.
Yeah,
It's the difference between work and play.
yeah, yeah,
Like a lot of gigs, you're working, you're making the music, you're entertaining, you're
yeah,
doing all that stuff. But when you get to play with guys like this, they make it so easy.
yeah, yeah.
And so then it's just fun.
You
You
bet.
know,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, that's wonderful. Thank you for sharing that. And I know, I'm sure our viewers who are in the Edmonton area, or Alberta area, or even abroad, know these names. In fact, Jimmy Gabosh was actually on this interview a couple of weeks ago, and he spoke of you when he talked about great players and great singers around Edmonton area. Your name came up, and he said you're a dear friend of his, and I trust that the is a mutual thing, and you guys have a bit of a mutual admiration club there, I think.
Absolutely, absolutely. I love Jim. I consider him a good friend, as well as I consider him a mentor as well.
Hmm.
Because I would play bass for some of my own gigs and stuff when I couldn't find a bass player to do the gigs or whatnot. And so I would end up playing bass, and I considered myself a good bass player.
Hmm.
And once I started playing with Jim, I realized that I really wasn't a good bass player. you know, and and but as Jim really pushed me, and he made me a much better bass player, and a much better musician. I've always been told by my mom. She used to say, "You always play with people who are better than you,
Yeah.
not because you think whatever, but because the better people you play with,
Hmm.
the better they will make you.
Hmm.
They will bring you up." And the
Yeah.
same works in the other way. Whereas if you're always playing with people who aren't at your level,
Hmm.
you have to work hard to bring them up.
Right.
And you can't make it a prideful thing. You can't make it a, oh, I'm better than you, because there's always going to be someone who will blow you out of water,
Hmm.
you know, every single time. But it's a giving back thing, and it has to come from humility, and it has to come from an honest desire to help.
Yeah.
And that's what I try to do, because I want people who are better, like Jimmy, Gord, um, you know, Big Daddy, and Joey, guys like that.
Hmm.
They bring me up because they're so much better than me.
Mm.
And so it's a constant learning, but it's also a constant giving back. You play
Yeah.
with people who aren't as good sometimes, and you need to have that patience
Yeah.
to be able to work with them,
Yeah.
and encourage them. Sometimes like you have to say, listen, this wasn't very good. But you also have to be in a place where they trust you, and they feel good about you speaking into that, right?
You bet. As they say, advice is always more effective when the person listening to it is ready for it, right? Don't give too many
Exactly.
advices until you're sure that they're ready to receive it
Exactly.
and wanting to
Yeah.
do it, right?
Yeah.
Well, great. Well, thank you so much for sharing that as well. So Jared, take us into your piano gigs and all those kinds of things, but also feel free to talk a little bit about your health challenges of late that you've been dealing with as well. Feel free
Yes.
to share that part of it if you like.
Well, it was a couple of years ago.
Hmm.
I think a little more than a couple of years ago now.
Yeah.
Almost 3, yeah. And I was at, and I I was doing some piano gigs, which I was doing some dueling piano gigs and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And every once in a while, my hands would kind of freeze up, and it would be a little bit hard to play.
Yeah.
And I'd get shooting electrical pains down my arms.
Uh-huh.
And so I'd stretch, and it would feel weird. Sometimes, my walking, I would feel like my legs were just so stiff, and they didn't want to do what I was telling them to.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was in Cold Lake playing the casino there, and I was stepping off the stage, and my legs weren't working well at all, and I was dealing with a bunch of other stuff too. But that really scared me,
Mm-hmm.
and so I went straight to the doc, and I said, "Listen, there's a bunch of other stuff going on. I need to know what's happening here. Is this the product of all the other?" And he said, "No, this is something different. We need to figure this out." So he sent me to the neurologist, and anyway, before that, I found out that I was diabetic, first of all, and my sugars were way off the chart, and
Yeah.
they believed that it had been for years,
Mm-hmm.
and so I just didn't know,
Mm-hmm.
and so what was happening was I was damaging my nerves because my sugars were so high, and I had no idea.
Mm-hmm.
And once you get to the point where you can feel it, it's it's not a good situation. So
Right.
they put me on medication and everything, and got my blood sugar down, and now that's just a regular part of my routine every day.
Uh-huh.
And so once I got that all under control, I still wasn't walking very well. I still wasn't able to, I was starting to really lose a lot of feeling in my hands,
Mm-hmm.
and struggling to play. Still doing gigs every weekend, still on the road.
Yeah.
And so that's when I went and saw the neurologist, and they did a MRI, and they found some
Mm-hmm.
vertebrae that were pinching on my spine
Mm-hmm.
and not letting the spinal fluid flow through.
Mm.
So I thought, oh, okay, what are we going to do? So he said, well, we need to operate, and we need to create some room for that spinal fluid to flow.
Mm-hmm.
And so we did the operation, and that was a year and a half ago now.
Mm-hmm.
And they opened that up and basically took my disc out and replated the discs together and created some room in there, which was really scary because they went through the front. And so I thought, oh my goodness, this is probably going to affect my voice.
Mm-hmm.
So I had a real good heart-to-heart with my neurologist and said, listen, I'm a singer. I don't want this to damage my vocal cords. I can't, stress this enough. And so they were very careful. They were very, very good. And he did the operation.
Yeah.
And, within a few hours, I was, of coming out of my operation, I was up and around and trying to run downstairs and everything. And the nurses chased me around. And I was wondering if I could feel my hands again.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the first thing I did was I was at the Royal Alec and went down to the piano and was trying to play piano, and the nurses were all chasing me around, yelling at me to get back to bed.
Yeah.
But I wanted to, and actually a couple of those videos are on my Facebook of me in my hospital gown with my neck all bandaged up and trying to play piano, and it still wasn't there.
Mm-hmm.
But a couple of days later, I started singing again, and absolutely nothing was wrong. My vocal cords were strong. I was so relieved and so happy.
Mm-hmm.
And then, so I thought, okay, well, that's going to fix it. And so the doctor said, well, it's probably going to take at least a year for your nerves to come back, if they come back at all.
Mm-hmm.
Because with nerves, what happens is once you damage them, it's really hard to get back.
Mm-hmm.
So he said it'll probably take at least a year for you to get any feeling back and whatnot. So in February, I thought, man, okay, like I should be at a point now where I'm starting to feel better because the operation was last February. And I'm still gigging, still doing my stuff, and yeah. So it got to the point where I couldn't set up or tear down. I couldn't lift anything because I was so worried about everything. And my hands were, my legs were. I was walking with a cane now. And so they basically just looked and said, well, we don't know what's going on. And so one weekend I was in Edmonton, and I ended up staying in Edmonton because I about 4 years ago I moved back home here, which was in Canuso, Slave Lake area. And but so I was in Edmonton, and I decided to stay for a few days. I stayed with my brother and his wife, my godson actually, and so it was a really good time. But at the same time, and this is just when would it have been? Good Lord, it wasn't that long ago. 4 or 5 months ago, anyway. Maybe a little longer.
Yeah.
And so my legs were really starting to vibrate and shake, and it was getting to the point where it made it impossible to walk because I would literally lose all strength in my legs and just about hit the ground. And it really started to scare me. So I went to the Royal Alec emergency, and I said, this has been going on for some time, but now it's really scaring me. Because I can't walk. I can't. The minute I put any pressure on my legs, then it just start vibrating and shaking. And so I got very nervous and still no feeling in my hands. It was actually getting worse. Starting to feel burning through my fingers, and so I went in and they said, we don't know what's going on, but we don't feel like you should be at home. It's not safe for you. It's a serious thing. And so I got very worried, and so they were trying to figure it all out. And I was in the hospital. You guys probably seen my posts and
yes, absolutely.
Everything else. So me running down the thing with my wheelchair. And,
yeah, I saw that.
I tried to make the best of it. And but it was still very, very scary. And still hadn't figured it out yet. So they made an appointment for me with Glenrose, which I was grateful for. And so 2 days before my appointment, I asked them, I said, listen, because I was just basically laying there, and this whole COVID thing had started, and I was like, I don't want to be in the hospital. This is going on. So they said, yeah, they voted me out, and so I came home for a couple of days, and then went back for my appointment at Glenrose. And the physiotherapist at the Glenrose was absolutely phenomenal. She was doing all these weird tests on my legs, and can you do this? Can you do that? What does it do when I do this? If you point your toe, it was crazy. And she was making my legs shake whenever she wanted to. She was making them feel good whenever she wanted. And she was like, I know exactly what this is, and I've seen it lots. Which, inside of me, it was like a big weight was lifted because she knew what was going on. Now, whether or not they're going to be able to fix that is a different story. But at least someone knew what the problem was, and so it's called spasticity and also clonus. And so between those two things, my legs, I just were out of control. And so part of it is nerve damage, and part of it is just what's going on with me. It's this disease. So excuse me. So she said, well, I'm going to get you in for injections in your legs. We're going to try and slow down this thing.
Hmm.
And this was in, I think it was in March.
Hmm.
And so basically, they said there's not a whole lot we can do right now
Hmm.
because of the COVID stuff. They were shutting down a bunch of stuff in the hospital. So they said we're going to have to reschedule. We're going to have to,
Hmm.
So basically, I've been sitting in limbo
Hmm.
since March and just worrying, basically.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's unfortunate, but I mean that's just where I am. And you know, um, so hopefully once they're able to open up
Hmm.
and figure out when they can get me in,
Hmm.
hopefully they'll be able to do these shots, injections in my legs, and figure out exactly if it works, if it doesn't, if there's anything else we can do.
Yeah.
But at least we have a plan. And
Hmm.
so that's kind of where I'm at right now.
Well, thank you for
Yeah.
sharing that. Yeah, I do see your posts, in the hospital stay there, and I'm happy that you're able to keep up your spirit in obviously very challenging situations. And I did see that video of you trying to almost like racing down the hallway with your wheelchair there, and just
Yeah.
screaming and laughing. That was very therapeutic.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, and it's like it's been really hard, um, dealing with it.
Hmm.
And I'm not always on top.
Hmm.
There's a lot of times when I get really low because it's a scary thing, and
Absolutely.
it's a it's number one dealing with my livelihood. I can't play piano very well at all,
Hmm.
and when I do, it just it hurts my heart because I know what I'm capable of,
Hmm. Hmm.
and it feels like I'm just starting out again.
Yeah, yeah.
And relearning it. So it gets very difficult, and I get very very low.
Hmm. Yeah.
But you have to remember that no matter what happens, there is the other side of this. No matter what that
Absolutely.
looks like,
Yeah.
and so that's where I'm at right now, and it's crazy because it's been such an emotional roller coaster.
Hmm.
It's up and down and up and down and up and down.
Yeah.
That it's been very very difficult,
Hmm.
and I've reached out a few times at different times, and people have really been amazing.
Hmm. Hmm.
Actually, Rita is one of those people, and
Hmm.
it's just been so good to have people just say, "Hey, I'm here," no matter what that is or
Hmm.
what that involves.
Hmm.
It's been um, it's been really good,
Hmm.
and it's also been the other way too,
Hmm.
where there's people who you know I thought were a lot closer
Hmm.
who have you know left me in the dust, so that hurts too.
Yeah.
And but it really shows who your true friends are.
Hmm. Yeah.
And it really shows you who loves you and who cares for you.
Yeah.
Whether you're up or down,
Hmm.
you know, people will try to help you and try to be there for you.
Hmm. Yeah.
Either that or they'll tell you to screw off. So, which
Well,
is
I.
okay too, because you realize like that's in some instances that's a good thing
Hmm.
because you realize who you can lean on
Hmm.
and who you can't.
Yeah.
And that's a big thing when you're going through stuff
Hmm.
is to realize who has your back.
Hmm.
And so that's been a real learning thing for me too.
Hmm. Yeah.
Because I haven't always been there for people. I haven't always done things that I should have.
Yeah.
And now going through this myself, you learn that maybe I should have spent a little more time,
Hmm.
you know, helping where I
You
could
bet.
have a little bit better.
You bet. We
You know,
all live in a world based on our current situation, based on our current sort of focus and context, and
yeah,
yeah, sometimes it takes a very sort of difficult situation to realize sort of the bigger picture, if you will. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So thank you for so much for sharing that. Now,
Hmm.
I hope you don't have a time constraint. I hope we can continue a little bit past the scheduled time. Are you okay for?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, well, let's keep on talking. We got some flexibility in the schedule. So, what I'd like to do is maybe just take us for a trip down memory lane in terms of your piano. Do it. I just happened to, while you were talking there, look at the website or, kind of internet out there and found sort of some photos. And I like to maybe just bring them in. They're somewhat random photos, but I'm going to go ahead and show them here.
Sure.
Tell us about this photo here and tell us about the some stories or experiences or kind of take us back down memory lane a little bit.
That was actually almost 3 years of my life spent in that room
Mm-hmm.
every weekend. It was about 2.5, maybe a little more than 2.5 years. That was at the Bourbon Room in St. Albert,
Mm-hmm.
and I played there every weekend and doing pianos, and it was phenomenal. There was only, I think, 1 or 2 weekends that I did not play there
Mm-hmm.
out of all that time, and it was crazy. It was, it was a blast, and you know, um, I got to play with some really cool people that I've got to know through the years, and we played together, and it was just phenomenal.
Mm-hmm.
And Paul Ballack has actually, if I'm not mistaken, I believe he has closed his doors now, which is really sad because that was a great room for live music. He had a beautiful stage built,
Mm.
and great sound system, whole 9 yards. He actually bought those two piano shelves, and you'd place your keyboards in them. It was a little secret.
Yeah, you see that.
And it was, yeah, it was so much fun, and so he really, he loved to back live music,
Mhm.
and when we parted ways, we still, he still had great musicians in there, and actually up until this COVID, he had friends of mine doing pianos in there
Mhm.
every Friday night, and it was just phenomenal, and it's sad that he's not going to be continuing on, and I hope that somehow that turns around and I'm lying, which would be awesome
Mhm.
because
Mhm.
it's
Yeah.
a beautiful room, and great people, and just anyway, yeah. So that's where that was, and I spent two
Yep.
and a half years there.
Hey, you see that note from Rita there on screen?
Yes,
Hmm.
yes, thank you
I
for
love Rita and Kevin. So
yeah.
this here somehow came up to be a smaller thing here, but you were doing keyboard and guitar and vocal at the same time.
Actually, yeah. That was I got invited by the Alberta House to play on behalf of the Alberta House at
Uh-huh.
the Olympics
Yeah, yeah,
in 2010,
yeah,
and it was awesome,
yeah.
and had so much fun there.
Uh-huh.
We had some great times, and yeah, I got to play a little bit of guitar and play piano as well,
Hmm.
and got to bring my band and really showcase. It was very, very cool,
Hmm.
and yeah, to be part of the Olympics was
Olympics.
amazing.
What year
It
did you
was
say that was?
2010. Yeah, that
2010.
was
Cool.
during the Olympics.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. And this is you in your element with the grand piano, black, looks like.
Yes,
Yeah.
that was. I believe that was a Christmas party
Hmm.
for. Um, what's the name of that casino? Um,
In Edmonton?
it's on yeah, it's on the reservation on the west side there,
All right.
River Creek,
River Cree, yeah.
for one of their Christmas parties, and they asked us to do a doing piano show,
Hmm.
and so we went and did that show. It was absolutely phenomenal. It was so much fun.
Hmm.
Yeah, so that was a blast, and it was really upscale. It was nice. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, yeah.
So I think we did about an hour and a half there, and actually, I think that might have been New Year's
Uh-huh.
because it was this is the craziest night that I've ever had actually
Uh-huh.
because we did two gigs two New Year's gigs
Uh-huh.
that night. So we set up two separate dueling piano shows.
Really? Wow.
And it was crazy. Yeah. So we finished that one and you know got out of there as fast as we could and ran over to the other one and did finish the whole night
Yeah.
after that.
Wow.
Because that one was fairly early, so it was a crazy night, but it was awesome and it was so much fun.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
I think that was New Year's if I'm not mistaken. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Cool. So you had some wonderful memories with this sort of dueling piano thing. Now, when I first learned about you years ago, I think it was probably the Olympic clip that I saw where you were performing there. And tell us about a little bit about the connection with the kind of the that community there that seems to be near and dear to your heart as well.
It was very cool, and I didn't know a lot of the people that were playing there. There was a young, for the lack of a better term, I'll call them a young boy band. I forget their name, but they were awesome, And these guys, like the big energy and so much fun.
Mm-hmm.
But they opened up for me, which was kind of funny because I'm an old school kind of blues guy,
Mm-hmm.
and so they had all these young guys. Well, unbeknownst to me, they had just released their album and everything else. So there was about 300 little teeny bopper girls right out front,
Mm-hmm.
and that's who I played for.
Yeah.
They got into it. They loved it, but it was so funny because that's not normally a natural audience of mine,
Mhm. Yeah.
But it was a blast anyway, and there was tons and tons of people, and
Yeah.
but it was so funny because they were all there to see these young guys, and so I I ended up playing for these bunch of teen girls, and it was so funny.
Yeah. Yeah.
They were there to see the young guys, and so it was a blast though. It was a blast. We had so much fun. But yeah, that's where I met John Hyatt and Lemieux.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, through CBC we met actually. But yeah, she's incredible. Anyway, I've lost touch with a lot of these people and a lot of musical people who I've played with
Mm-hmm.
over the years, simply because I've been doing the dueling pianos and I haven't been out in the community as much.
Mm-hmm.
I'm doing a lot more bar gigs and stuff like that. I haven't been working with CBC very much, or I have a lot of people who I'm in touch with APTN and that sector as well.
Mm-hmm.
That I haven't really cultivated because I haven't been doing my albums and all that other stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I've been kind of in limbo and just trying to get it figured out.
Yeah.
And actually, there's something that I do want to touch on is that over the years I have not been the person and the professional person that I need to be.
Mm.
And there's a lot of people who I want to say, thank you for sticking by me. Thank you for, what you've done for me and kicked my butt when I needed it and, loved on me when I needed it, whatever it takes, And there's been a lot of people who have done a lot for me.
Mm-hmm.
And it is so appreciated. And but this year coming up, I am completely revamping
Mm-hmm.
everything, and I'm going to do a big push in my music. And I'm going to be recording more. I'm going to be getting stuff out there. I'm going to be doing a lot more again. And that's all thanks to people who have just believed in me and. It's just time for me to quit wallowing. It really is what it boils down to.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I've got to stop feeling sorry for myself. I've got to get my head out of my butt, for lack of a better word. Excuse me.
Yeah.
But it's um, I've written so many songs. I've got so much stuff that I want to share, and between, you know, um, it's just self indulgence
Hmm.
in a negative way.
Hmm.
A lot
Hmm.
of times that will stop us.
Hmm.
And lately, I've been really trying to say, you know what, Jared, it's time to smarten up. It's time to get your professional soul back.
Hmm.
You know, because I let that go, and I've just,
Hmm.
done what I've had to and played, wherever, whatever happens that comes my way, I'll play. And I didn't, I let that go for a long time.
Hmm. Hmm.
And so right now I've decided that, like, in the last, you know, even couple of weeks, it's just, it's really, I I want to say that I know people deserve better from me, and I've heard that a few times from very good friends.
Hmm.
And they, I need to be better. I need to get off my butt and start really working again. You know,
That
and
sounds.
even though I'm, you know, my hands and legs are the way they are, that's still no excuse. I've been using that as an excuse for the last couple of years.
Hmm. Hmm.
To just, you know, ride with what comes my way.
Yeah. Yeah.
And through this whole COVID thing, and I really, I've gotten low a lot of times,
Hmm.
and it's time for me to smarten up and really make another push and really be who I know that I'm supposed to be.
Yeah. Well,
And
you
so I
know,
just want to say thank you to a whole bunch of people that have still been there for me, and you know have put up with me when I'm,
Mhm.
at my lowest points.
Yeah.
And I just want to say thank you. And yeah.
Yeah. I'm glad to hear that you've rounded the corner, and exciting to hear of the journey that you'll be on here next to kind of work through that. And your buddy Jimmy Gabosh says something on the screen here. You can probably see it. It says, "Love you, Jarrett. Keep on keeping on, brother."
Yes.
And here's another name you recognize, Don Marcotte, Mr. Don
Yes.
Marcotte. He says, "Jared rocks. Good to see you, Jared." So
Love that guy. Love Don, man. He's an amazing bass player.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So what I like to do is share another clip for our viewers. This second clip here, maybe if you can introduce the clip, and then I'll cue it up, and I'll be off of the camera here. But this is the clip that I'm referring to, "Into the Mystic." Tell us about that.
Yes. I love this song, and I started singing it, a few years ago, and I just loved it. And people love me singing it, so that was one of the ones that always got requested, and always they asked me to sing. It was one of those favorites that
Hmm.
everybody wanted to hear. So one of a good friend of mine decided that he was going to put together a video for me, and he wanted me to sing that song. And so I said, absolutely, I would love to. And John, if you're listening, it's on his YouTube actually. But if you search it up, Jared Sowan, it'll come up. And yeah, he's just absolutely amazing, and he did such an amazing job. And he he did every camera angle. He did a whole bunch, and it turned out really good. Fortunately for me, I had the privilege of Jimmy DeBosch playing on it as well,
Hmm.
and Joey playing drums.
Hmm.
And so, you know, um,
Joey
I had the
McIntyre.
bass. Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. So, and the bass player, I forget his name. I've seen him around town a lot, and such a good bass player.
It will come.
But yeah, but anyway, yeah, we had a blast, and it was so much fun.
Yeah. I mean,
Um, yeah, and he did actually. I think there was two or three that he did that night, and you can search them up, and yeah, it's really really cool, really fun.
Great. Let me roll the clip here.
We were born for the wind, also younger than the sun. Let your bones clear one, sail into the masses. Hark now, hear sailors cry, touch the sea, feel the sky. Let your soul and spirit fly to sail into the masses. When nightfall blows, baby, I'll be coming home. When nightfall blows, I wanna hear it, I don't have to fear it, 'cause I wanna rock your gypsy soul, just like way back the days of old. And together we will float, sail into the masses. When nightfall blows, baby, I'll be coming home. And when nightfall blows, I wanna hear it, I don't have to fear it, 'cause I wanna rock your gypsy soul, just like we back in the days of old. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Together we will flow, to sail into the mystic. Oh, yeah. We were born for the wind, also younger than the sun. If the bonnie boat was one, sail into the mist. Hark now here, sailors cry towards the sea, feel the sky, oh yeah. Let your soul and spirit fly, sail into the misty. And when that fog on blows, yeah, baby, I'll be coming home, yeah. And when that fog on blows, I wanna hear it, don't have to fear it, 'cause I wanna rock your gypsy soul, just like way back in the days of old. Oh yeah, together we will flow, we sail into the mystery. Oh yeah, here together we will float, sail into the mist. And together we will float, sail into the mist. Sail into the mist. As we sail into the mist, yeah. Yeah, yeah. Well, thank you so very much.
Wow, 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 wow. That's fantastic. And just to think, that was a bit of a jam where you guys played with some different people who may not have played that song before, right? And that was
Exactly.
awesome.
And yeah, his name Neil. Yeah, he was right there. He's got a great ear.
Yep.
Talented bass player, and yeah, he was right on it.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it was so much fun. You know, when you get to play with different guys too, it creates a different dynamic. So it's lots of fun, and man, I had a blast.
You bet. Now, Rita, our friend Rita, chimed in again here. There's that powerhouse voice. Love it, Jarrett. Jarrett.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, I appreciate that so much. You know, she's just fantastic. So,
Yeah.
you know, I'm grateful that, you know, I have so many people who are able to, you know, just give me a hand up when I need it, and you know, give me a pat on the back, you know, to encourage me as well. You know, and in a lot of ways, I'm still learning so much, and I always will be. You know, I consider myself still quite juvenile in my musical career. You know, and you know, I've grown a lot, but I've got a long ways to go. And,
Absolutely.
You know, I'm just grateful that, you know, people are willing to be on this journey with me, and, you know, so appreciative.
You bet. The only real limit is when our lifespans is done with, and we moved on to, you know, another world where we're no longer in this world. But until then, we have the ability to decide on what to learn, right?
Yeah.
It's full, world is full of lessons, right? So
Yeah.
tell us, as you said yes to this invitation, Jared, are there some stories or some sentiments that you want to share with our viewers that we haven't gotten to based on the format so far? Is there any site that you want me to pull up? It's your show, so you can do whatever you want.
Well, not really. I mean, I'm not a proud man. I've caused a lot of harm in my life, and I've caused a lot of good things in my life. But I'm here and I'm learning, and every day is a learning experience, and every day is you know, learning how to be a better person. And that's in every aspect of my life. And I'm just, like I said before, I'm so grateful that I have people in my life that speak into it and will also give me encouragement when I need it, and give me crap when I need it too. But it's a learning thing, and I'm so appreciative that there are people out there that have stuck with me through thick and thin, and are still just wonderful friends and wonderful people, and you see who really cares about you at the end of the day, and don't take people for granted. That's something that I've really learned, in different friendships and different things, oftentimes we do that. And I've been learning that through other people. I thought, man, I don't want to treat people in some situations that I've been in. And I also have learned through hurting people that I don't want to be in that situation again. So it's you learn so much every single day, and it's beautiful, and it's life. And basically I want to say that I've never really had an opportunity to say this on an open forum like this, but I want to apologize to the people that I have caused harm. And I want to say that I'm working to be a better, solid person. And I think we all need to say that sometimes.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we sometimes we do things that are out of character, or sometimes we do things that are selfish. And I'm working very, very hard at becoming less selfish and more honest, more work harder at my music, work just and I just love that there are people out there who are sticking with me, and who are willing to really back me. I'm going to be doing some things in the future here, which I'm really, really excited about.
Yeah.
And there are some people who have stepped up and said, I really want to be part of that. I want to, and so I'm really excited, and I don't want to give too much away because, but it's going to be awesome. It's going to be
wonderful. Well, I'm excited for you. I like to show another video. It's a surprise. You don't know the video that I'm referring to.
Oh, Lord have mercy.
I suppose you kind of know, because we talked about how you had a clip of you racing down the hospital there. Do you mind if I show that to our viewers?
Go ahead.
So I'm going to show that. So let me just cue it up here, and tell us, give us a quick intro before I roll the clip here.
Well, this was in the hospital, and I was basically losing my mind at this point because they were shutting down the visitors and whatnot. And my good friend Loretta, who's also my roommate here, she shared her house with me and let me stay here, and which is has been a godsend, because and she helps me so much with everything that I'm going through, and one of my best friends. And so she came and we were laughing because this was a very steep incline at the Royal Alec, and the first time we went up this thing, it was crazy. And then going down, I was like, "Hey, you should video me going down this thing," and it was hilarious. And we laughed and laughed and laughed. So yeah, I mean, you just have to amuse yourself when you're in there because it was pretty crazy, but it was so much fun. And yeah, it's ridiculous. So,
All right, here we go. I'm going to roll the clip. I just realized that because I was managing my sort of Facebook thing, so it wasn't giving me the delay sound feeding back. I actually muted my Facebook thing. So give me a second to correct that. I will be able to deal with that here. So I'm going to just basically. All right. So at this point, I think I can unmute it.
I'm the king of the world! Oh my god. I'm the king of the world! Oh my god.
Well, that was fun.
yeah, the things we do to amuse ourselves when we're yeah, that was actually I believe just a day or two before I got kicked loose from the hospital. Actually, so yeah, but, yeah, it was fun. There it is. My mic was muted there, and now I can't hear you, dude.
Because I muted
there
myself
you
to
go.
try and manage that issue there.
Oh, okay, there you go.
Oh,
Yeah.
all right. Well, so
That was a blast. It was just something ridiculous to amuse myself and have some fun. So.
I realize I'm still muted. So Jared, as we round the corner,
There we go.
As we round the corner on wrapping this up, any kind of last stories or sentiments or words that you want to share with our viewers before we wrap up here?
Well, I guess one thing in the next month or two here, the website will be back up and running. I let it go for a while because it's been financially very tight for me, and but I'd like to get it going here soon. So in the next month or two, it will be back up and running, and it is jaredsowanmusic.com is the website. And so, yeah, I will have that up and running, and I'll have some tunes on there that you'll be able to purchase right off the website. So I think I have 4 or 5 on there. So it'll be really exciting to be able to share that with people as well. So
Yeah. In other words, you getting back to it and really just taking it in whatever the direction necessary to make it meaningful for yourself and for your audience and for your collaborators.
Absolutely. You know, I've written a lot of different styles of music, and I've written a lot of different types of music, but I'm going to be sticking a little more close to home with my, Southern gospel and the blues and that kind of thing. I have one of my songs is on CKUA radio, or no, CFW, CFWE, I believe. Sorry, and and it's kind of a Cajun tune, and Stu Mitchell actually played guitar on it, which was really exciting and really cool. A good buddy of mine, great drummer, great piano player, great guitarist, great vocalist, all around musician who I love with all my heart. And so it's a pretty cool tune, and it's a lot of fun. It's a real dancey kind of Cajun tune that I dig it, And so in that respect, there will be some variances, but I'm going to be sticking pretty close to home in kind of gospel-y and bluesy area.
Wonderful. Wonderful.
Yeah.
Well, thank you again, Jarrett. Jarrett Sowan has been joining us here in the last hour and a bit, folks. And for our viewers out there later on, as well as right now, we thank you, Jarrett, for spending your time with us here and sharing your story and sharing your challenges, your human struggle that we all have, and yours. Is definitely a significant one that you're working through. And I'm excited to hear that you are rounding the corner on that, and excited to hear about what you're working on and what's coming up and what's being released. So best wishes with that. And again, thank you so much.
Awesome. Thank you for having me. I've had an absolute blast.
Wonderful. So to our viewers, take good care of yourself, folks, and take good care of one another. And until we meet again, have a wonderful day and the rest of the week. This has been Jarrett Sowan with Conversations with Dune and Friends. So have a great day, folks.